Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Flint, I've just blown in. And today we are back for Seduce Me 2, The Demon Wars. I'm sure we did stuff last time, but it has been a while since I could sit down to record. Yeah, my last save was on June 9th, it is now the 16th. Yeah. Oops. Well, I'm not... My ability to record has been severely hampered because COVID, and people are home all the time now, and yeah, this is usually a solo activity for me, so my apologies. Although for everyone else that's watching this, this will still be just one video a week, but I don't like having such long spaces in between that I don't remember what I was doing. That sounds wrong. Let's dive back in. Maybe it'll come back to I shook my head, looking to the ground. I don't know what it would want from me. Sam grimaced and wrapped his arms around me.
Hey, you'll be fine. I'm sure you can pass whatever it's planning, no problem.
Oh, right. We're getting ready to take a test. Oh, right, that happened last time with Diana and Sarah testing Sam by, yeah! Fuck this thing, by the way. Okay, let's go. Test time. I got my number 2 pencil, and I know where I want to put it. I nodded softly. I had to breathe. Everything would be okay. Which usually means no, it's not. Things are about to go horribly wrong. As I took a deep breath, I took a moment to take in that Sam was still in demon form. I chuckled a bit and touched his horns, which I found hilarious as they protruded from the sides of his head like handlebars. Oh, come on, it's just an easier way to ride him. I'm never going to get used to you in this form. I don't know, it's not that different than his other form, really.
Huh? Oh, shit! I forgot to turn back! Sorry!
Aw, let him stay as he is, he's cute. I stared at Sam as he stepped back and looked down at his form in surprise. As he rubbed the back of his head, I could see the comfort he had in what was his true form. Yeah, we should be encouraging this. Natural hair, people. Well, it wasn't totally different from his human form. Yeah. He still had horns and the incubus taint on his skin. Oh, doesn't look that bad. Sam shook his head and began to charge his energy.
I'll change back.
Thank you. I'm just gonna wait for you to change, sweetie. Because my character's kind of been controlling from the start. It wasn't often that I saw his demon form. He doesn't just walk around like this at home. Only whenever he ran out of energy, which in itself was rare. Yeah, he is living with me. Sam took a breath and focused his energy, causing the marks on his skin and horns on his head to vanish without a trace. He made sure he formed a pair of pants as well. Oh, boo. But remained shirtless to sleep. Sam grinned and motioned to the bed with his head.
Come on, we gotta sleep.
I mean, do we really? Can't we just stay up all night and play board games? With a nod of my own, I slipped into bed with him and closed my eyes. I had to prepare myself for whatever the dragon had planned. Dragons. Classic. I half expected to wake up to Diana to be disguised as Sam as the morning came. Well, I mean... However, as I woke, I was happily in the arms of the man I loved. Despite the tired fog over my vision, I could sense that the man who was holding me was the true Sam, and the way he held me gave it all away. Uh-huh. 'Cause Diana wasn't, convincing as you. As he pulled my body close to him, I giggled, knowing Sam was awake. I knew you were awake.
No, you don't, you doofus.
Oh. Why is that your endearing pet name for me? I laughed and kissed his nose softly, causing Sam to open his eyes. As he gazed into my eyes and smiled, I felt my heart completely swell in joy. I'd almost forgotten about the day ahead. All I wanted to do was stay in bed with him a little longer.
Morning.
What? Morning. Sam lazily leaned forward and kissed me before pulling me to his chest and sitting us both up.
Come on. Time to get up.
I mean, do we really? Do we have to? Exactly. I say as it's 6:46 a.m. as I record this. As I asked, I could sense a new determination from Sam. Something about him seemed confident, despite having just woken up. I tilted my head and placed my hands on his shoulders, curious as to why that was. Hey, what's got you so energized? Yeah, neither of us are morning people. Sam turned his head and looked in my direction, giving me a surprised look himself.
Huh? What do you mean? I'm always energized.
Not like this first thing.
Well, that's good to hear.
Diana, knock. Get out. I mean, I know it's your castle, but still. Sam and I looked over at the door, suddenly to see Diana leaning against the archway, holding 2 large plates of food. I was surprised that she was able to carry them. It's just plates of food. I'm sure it's not like she's carrying 2 huge boulders. Both plates were piled with food that looked absolutely delicious. Isn't there not famine, but food scarcity because harvest hasn't happened yet? Sam and I practically salivated at the sight before Sam shook his head and glared at Diana. I know, knock, bitch.
You ever learn how to knock?
Exactly.
Well, we have a lot to do, so I figured knocking would only waste precious time. My apologies.
Girl, knock. It takes you literally 5 seconds. Diana walked over at last and handed us our plates before stepping back and crossing her arms. Sam began to chow down as I took the slower approach to eating, but I was given with a laugh.
So, are you prepared for your test, dear?
Maybe. That made me stop and look up at Diana. She knew that I was next. Well, yeah, I was just kind of working with the dragon. She already devoted herself to the dragon before, so it wasn't surprising. But maybe she knew what exactly was in store for me. Yeah, maybe. I couldn't be sure. Also safe bet. Do you know what my test is? Come on, creative writing test. Write an essay. Diana nodded as Sam looked up to see her answer. I gulped, now a bit worried. Can you tell me?
Unfortunately, no, I cannot. If I could, I would, dear.
True. Sam, get that look off your face. Enjoy breakfast. I grimaced, looking into the fireplace and knowing that the dragon was probably watching. Hi! I half expected him to answer for Diana, but he didn't speak. My mind began to fill with ideas of what it could be about. What was I going to be tested on? How was it going to go down? Would I have to fight? All of the possibilities lingered in my thoughts as Sam finished his food.
Hey.
Yes? I looked to Sam, feeling him rub my back gently with a strong hand. I felt some comfort in the gesture, and more from the smile on his face.
You'll be fine. I believe in you.
Aww, aren't you being sweet? Are you sure this is real Sam? Kiss him. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, buddy. I was glad to know that Sam was supporting me through this. Dan, however, looked to the fireplace.
I will say this, though. It should be easy for you.
Okay. Thanks? Huh? It should be easy. Diana nodded before turning around and looking over her shoulder to maintain eye contact with me.
Yes, that is, if you believe in your love.
Sure? I stared wide-eyed at Diana before she turned and walked away, leaving me and Sam alone. I grew curious and concerned, but I had to let it go for now. The test was apparently tonight, so I had to wait. I slowly became more comfortable with the sword and began to do more tricks. I became more agile, more aware of my surroundings as I continued to slice through the dummy I decided to call Maul. I don't know why, but the name felt right for it. I pulled myself from the training grounds to the gates and through the castle doors. The interior was dark, yet the warm, even burning fires that served as lights illuminated the corridors, eased my ability to navigate through the winding halls. I don't know, this place looks fairly lit up. The walk was peaceful and quiet on the way to my destination, until I heard familiar laughter tear through the walkway. Oh, god damn it. Hi, Simon.
Simon!
Oh, okay. In this verse, you got Simon. Interesting.
Get back here, Simon!
I barely had the chance to turn around and see a small white critter run past me, followed by a pair of fluffy, dark-haired heads in a mad chase. Whoa. Like a whirlwind, I practically spun around in place as Sam and Norrin rushed past me, trying not to collide into me while maintaining pursuit of their furry friend, Simon Tabby.
Sorry!
Bye.
Sorry!
Nice seeing you. Before I managed to shake off the dizzy spell I was under, Norrin and Matthew had vanished into a nearby room, where I assumed they had chased their furry quarry. Holding my head to steady myself, I jumped at the multitude of clangs and thuds emanating from the room, before the sound ceased altogether. I tiptoed towards the door and peeked in, chasing my curiosity. Inside, Matthew and Norrin surrounded the fluffball Simon on the war room table, gripping onto each side of the table and glaring hard at their target. They looked as if they were generals, and how they stared down at the critter that pawed at the nations beneath its feet. Norrin broke the silence, wearing her best and smiling.
Come on, Simon. Let's go back to the room, yeah?
Nah. That's an evil laugh. Matthew, not as patient as his wife, jumped onto the table and clasped both hands around Simon, grinning as Simon made a surprised squeak.
Gotcha!
Aww. A triumphant grin stretched across Matthew's face as he started to relish in his success. Norrin smirked, but dropped her expression as she quickly turned wide-eyed and frantic.
Wait, he still has the...
Ow! Ow!
Yeah, he's weaponed up. The glint of tiny steel told me more than enough. Matthew momentarily forgot that Simon wielded a knife. It was blunt, meant as a toy imitation, yes, but in the paws of Simon it was more than enough to hurt. Matthew released the script from Simon, clutching his hand and hissing in pain as Norrin swiftly replaced his former hold on the doll. She lunged across the table, wrapping her hands around the toy's torso and trapping Simon's little arms between her fingers, rendering his weapon useless.
Didn't think of that, did you, Simon?
Simon deflated with a squeal of defeat before becoming still in Norrin's hands, turning into a doll once more. With a sigh, Norrin and Matthew finally eased and collapsed on the table, shutting their eyes from exhaustion.
Finally, we can relax.
Yeah, geez, that took forever.
I know, right? Norrin rolled onto her back on the table and stared at the ceiling, bringing Simon to her chest and letting out another tired sigh. Matthew chuckled lightly before lying beside her, doing the same. It was rare to see either of these two without their usual buzz of excitement. Norrin lazily laid her arms across Matthew's face in an attempt to run her hand through his hair, to which Matthew returned the gesture of an exaggerated plop of his hand on her face to caress her cheek. Laughter spilled out from them, their contagious chuckle making it hard for me to stifle my bubbly giggle rising in my throat. I held back my laugh, biting my lip with a wide smile. Even when they looked exhausted, I couldn't help but feel light and giddy from watching them. Norrin always seemed to be bursting with energy whenever she fluttered around the other wives and I, eager to embark on adventure, whether it was across the world or to a nearby diner at 3 a.m. Yet, I knew there were moments when her waves of energy ebbed, just like now. Despite those times, she was a master at quick quips and one-liners that it seemed only Matthew could keep up with her, from his own wit and creative power. They were perfect friends, so aligned in their sync that it was easy to see them as husband and wife. Norrin's eyes lit up as a flash of inspiration dawned on her. She smirked and turned to look at Matthew with a quirked brow.
So, when is Simon going to have a suitor?
Ooh. Well, in another verse with Matthew.
Huh?
Aw. Matthew looked over at her in a mix of shock and fear, while Norrin held back a laugh in her cheeks. At his expression, Matthew shook his head violently.
No way! There's no way I'm gonna give him another reason to run around and go crazy, and give us another doll like that to deal with.
Aw, they're so cute! Look at them! Aww. I will say, this is one thing in Sam's route I have really liked so far. Getting to see these interactions with the husbands and their wives. It is something that I feel was missed in the other paths. You know, who are these women? They're really not fleshed out. In the other routes, I should say. Not here, we're getting some nice characterization.
What? Oh, come on! Imagine the fun of designing his new friend. All the little details, from the color of its eyes to the fluff of its fur. Plus, think of all the adventures they'd have together. So much fun that it might even distract Simon from messing with us.
Oh, you're a genius, Norrin. You know that?
Well, I mean, I guess you're right, but...
Oh, so that's a cute bracelet. Those 2 little bells on a string. Matthew brought a hand to his chin, so he looked deep in thought over the suggestion. She looked on expectantly, waiting for his final answer before her eyes caught his hand shifting over his mouth to hide a growing smirk. Norrin gave a toothy grin to Matthew before gently pinching and pulling his cheek.
Come on, one more go at a living toy. And look, you're smiling too. You totally wanna.
Matthew stuck out his tongue and threatened to lick Norrin's hand to gross her out and release her grip on his cheek. She flinched but remained resolute, nearly laughing at his attempt and teasing his face harder. I bit my lip to stop myself from laughing, but watching the two struggle for the upper hand made it hard not to imagine if they were like this all the time. It even became apparent to me that Norrin actually dominated the relationship with Matthew following her, and not surprisingly, Matthew seemed to enjoy that, preparing his own competitive bursts to challenge her lead.
You think a little spit will scare me?
Yeah, no.
Alright, I'll do it, okay?
Aw, good girl. Satisfied, Norrin finally reached her hold on his cheek. She smiled at her husband before flopping down with her back flat against the table, breathing out a contented sigh.
I love you. You know that, right?
Matthew took a moment to rub his cheek before looking down at her with a grin of his own, leaning down and kissing her nose, making her sputter and widen her eyes.
Of course I do. You know I love you, right, Norrin?
A mere second passed them before Norrin wrapped her arms around Matthew's neck and pulled him down, locking her lips to his and making him flail from losing his balance. Luckily, he planted his hands on the table beside her head, so he didn't crush her. Matthew relaxed in the kiss and closed his eyes, melting into it before Norin's arms relaxed and let him pull away slightly to look into her eyes. They stared at each other with a goofy smiles as each of them began to blush a cute pink color.
I know you do, Matthew. I couldn't live without your warm hugs or your dorky face. You're the best.
Aww.
I'm pretty sure you're the best. I don't know how you did it. Waiting for me and looking for me for so long.
The first 6 times were hard, yeah, but I'd definitely spend another 9 searching for you.
Wait, what? The first 6 times? Oh. My heart ached as well, nostalgic for the sorely missed normal that we had in the human world, but smiled at the sight of them curled up in one another's jackets. I only heard bits and pieces from them, but from what I've pieced together, I could tell that their first meeting wasn't as Matthew and Norin. Oh? Go on. They waited so long to meet one another. Now that they're together, I hardly saw them more than an arm's length apart. Both of them were adorable together, and I could tell that their life was going to be full of adventures for them, regardless of who truly was in the lead and where their energy took them. They relished in the sweetness before Norin's eyes became half-lidded and her smile turned wicked.
So, there's no one around and I don't feel like heading back just yet.
On the war table. The Inquisitor and Ironbull are quite proud of this.
Right here? But Simon's here. He could be watching.
Small price to pay.
Like he hasn't intentionally walked in on us before and threw glitter all over your back.
I want a visual of this.
Okay. But can we, turn him around or put him in a drawer?
Fair question.
Are you getting shy on me?
I don't know. Maybe. Norin smiled, ready to one-up her lover, but Matthew's eyes darkened as a competitive fire burned inside him. His mouth twitched into a sly smirk.
Oh, don't think I'm gonna be the shy one tonight. I never back down from a challenge.
I gasped, feeling my ears burn from secondhand embarrassment and fighting my urge to walk in and prevent them from ruining the war room any more than they have with their shenanigans. Yeah, but these shenanigans are awesome, so let's go back to my room. Norin perked up at my surprised sound, glancing over to the door where I stood and shot me a mischievous smile, with a finger to her lips. I finally turned and left, needing to continue my own journey to my room, and clear any intention of returning to that room again. Yeah, let's not voyeur that. Let's go. Thoughts of my training came to mind on my way back to my room. Yes, block out the other thoughts. Would I be ready? Would everything work out in the end? What about the issue I was having on top of the war? I couldn't stop myself from thinking of all these thoughts before I heard soft pattering of footsteps and an interesting rhythmic like waltz. Huh? Oh, why not? I've spied on the other 3 already. I instinctively followed the noise to the door, leading into the grand hall. The door was barely open a crack, but still managed to echo the sound of waltzing from it, leading to gaze upon who was forming the sound. As my eyes locked onto Damien and Twila. Is it Twila or Twyla? Oh well. My mind went blank. I knew how to avoid Damien's mind reading, and it had become a natural instinct for me whenever I saw him. Still, I watched as Damien and Twila danced around the room in a sweet and slow waltz, with Twila blushing a deep crimson and Damien smiling comfortingly to his wife. It was adorable to watch. Twila and Damien's marriage was still new, The wedding having only been a few months ago, Twila was still getting used to the idea of being part of the family, but every day seemed to open her up a bit more to Damien's brothers and me. I had hoped one day to get close enough to see her more energetic side, which Damien and the other wives claimed she had, but it would take time. Still, seeing her be so shy in Damien's arms seemed rather sweet.
Damien, I don't think I can do this. I can't focus like this.
Aww.
Relax, Twyla. I
Okay,
promise you
Twyla.
won't trip.
If you say so.
Twyla focused solely on the steps she was making, most likely to forget that Damien was holding her so close to him. Damien simply chuckled before dipping her back, making her grip onto him and gasp.
Damien, don't be a jerk.
Aww.
Relax.
Aww. Slowly, Damien lifted Twyla back up, locking eyes with her and releasing her hand to cup her cheek.
You've been nervous this whole time we've been here. What's wrong?
Twyla bit her lip and nuzzled Damien's hand, closing her eyes. I furrowed my eyebrows. What was going on with Twyla?
I can't help it, Damien. I mean, we're in the demon world, for Christ's sake.
I know, right? Weird.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell Damien wasn't going to let it go. Twyla looked up at him at last and cupped his hand in hers, letting her further into his palm.
You can read my mind. You know what I'm going to say.
Does he?
I do. But I'd rather hear you say it.
Exactly.
Why?
Not to rescue me, but...
Because it will make you feel better, I know it.
Oh, why she has to say it out loud? A single moment passed before Twyla let out a small sigh and nodded. As she did, Damien leaned them back into a slow waltz. Simple enough for Twyla to follow along and keep talking.
Part of me just... I don't know. It feels like it belongs here in this world. Like I belong here. Damien, I've never felt so alive before. But I know that the human world is my home.
Aww. Damien nodded and spun her around slightly. As he did, Twyla took in a breath, physically relaxing a bit more and becoming lost in the dance Damien was leading her through.
But this place also brought you so many bad memories, so I feel terrible for feeling at home here. I don't know, Damien. I know that it's because I'm only half human, but...
Wait, you're only half human? What's the other half? Are you a siren? Do you sing? I stared wide-eyed at Twyla. She was a half-demon. Wait, how do we jump to half-demon? What kind of demon was she? Questions gathered in my chest, remembering that Damien was still able to hear thoughts. Damien, however, only smiled and pulled Twyla closer to him, making her gasp.
Twyla, it's all right. I promise I'm okay.
Yeah, they're adorable together.
But Damien, you want to be human.
Oh, okay, in this verse. Oh, interesting. Yeah, last game, if you do Damien's romance path, one of the final options is a deal with Diana to turn him human. Yeah, I'm guessing this verse she did not make him that offer. Interesting. No, I guess by the time these two became a couple, she was long gone back to the demon world, but interesting.
And what does that have to do with anything?
Damien,
It's still a part of yourself, even if it's not a part you're comfortable with. Finally, Twyla stopped dancing and stood still, looking up to her husband with serious eyes. Damien stared back, listening intently.
You married me even though I'm technically Fae.
Oh.
You love me even though I'm proud of who I am. I don't want to alienate you because I find this world to be as beautiful as my mother said it would be.
Interesting. Silence passed once again between them. I felt sorry for Twyla. She seemed serious about the whole ordeal, but Damon's simple smile practically melted the tension from the air.
This world is your home too. As much as I hated being here, this world was the place I was born in.
But where you're born doesn't define you. Damien brought Twyla's hand to his lips, pressing his love on her wrist and moving it gently, placed a kiss on her forehead, making the blush on her face intensify at the intimate gestures. He chuckled at how he elected such a response from his wife before nuzzling her nose to nose.
But if I'm with you, then I can make brand new memories wherever we are, even here in the demon world. The past is the past.
Yep.
My future is with you.
Aww. He's adorable. My heart instantly melted at the words. It was so sweet to hear Damien say that to Twyla. I could hardly contain myself. Let's go before the mind reader realizes we're here. Twyla stared up at Damien, flattered and in awe. I couldn't help but smile at the sight. Damien really did love her, and she indeed loved him enough to care about his feelings.
I love you, Damiana.
Aww.
I love you too.
What surprised me was Twyla gently leaning up and brushing her lips against Damien's, catching him off guard as well, before he pressed back and kissed her lovingly. I nearly squealed at the sight of how cute they were. Aw, I'll squeak for you. Eee, so cute! Damien wrapped his arms around her waist as she tangled her own around his neck. Leaning back in the dance embrace they were in and becoming absorbed within each other. I took that moment to quickly sneak away, hoping that Damien wouldn't catch me peeping. Yeah, that would be embarrassing. Hey, sweetie! And just because I don't want this video to go too long, I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. My apologies for it being a little shorter than usual, but I also don't want this to go too long as I think we're nearing the end. So until next, tack the Gatilok Hiddo.